Hi everybody, my name is Brooke and you're watching Quirky Scales. Today we're in the gecko room where I'll be showing you my 6 new Caledonian gecko species that I keep. I have a gargoyle gecko, 3 crusteds, a chameleon gecko, and a legianus. My channel is to share the love that I have of the world's most peculiar animals. Currently that is geckos, but I love to get snakes, skinks, and other lizards. So without further ado, let's get into the geckos. This is Mew. She is my gargoyle gecko. She was the first gecko I ever got. She's named after the Pokemon Mew. She just turned 2 years old on August 8th. I got her in February of 2021. I got the gargoyle species because I didn't want a crested since I thought they were very mainstream, but you'll see as I go through the geckos that I went a little crested crazy and now I have 3 of them. So she's named after gargoyles because of these little horns on the top of her head, and then she also doesn't move. She currently resides in a 2x2x2 Zen Habitats enclosure. I've had a lot of different enclosures, so if you want me to do an enclosure overview, that's something I could do, kind of give my thoughts for each. She is a female. I've gotten infertile eggs from her, so if you have a female gargoyle gecko or a gecko that is a female, I recommend leaving some sort of substrate or moss in the cage so that way they can lay the eggs and they don't get egg bound. And this is Mew. So the second gecko that I have is Queso. He was my second gecko. He is a crested gecko, as you can see. He is a male, as you can see. He was the one that made me fall in love with crested geckos. He also has a little bit of a nub because when I first got him, he had stuck shed that cut off his toe, so they had to amputate the toe. Just if you do get geckos, make sure that you keep them really humid. When I first got him, the person that I got said you could keep him in a 6-liter tub or something like that, and he ended up getting stuck shed and it really deteriorated very fast, and so he had to have his toe removed. So he has a little nub, but he doesn't mind. He is definitely a crazy boy, but he's very chill, as you can see, for a crested gecko. I'm not 100% sure on the morph because I'm not the best with morphs and cresteds. They're kind of confusing and there's so many that come out that it gets crazy. But this is Queso. He also lives in a 2x2 Zen habitat, same as Mew, and he uses a lot of that square footage. But he's a really pretty boy. He's got the Dalmatian, as you can see. And yeah, this is Queso. So the third gecko that I have is another crested gecko. This is Lilith. She is my favorite crested gecko, not only because she's a red, but she has just the sweetest personality. She's the calmest. She's never been crazy with jumping. She always wants to come out. She'll be at the front of the cage. So Queso really made me fall in love with crested geckos because he was just such a different personality compared to Mew, my Garg. But Lilith really made me fall in love with cresteds even more just because of how docile she is and how pretty she is. I love the red morphs. I'll actually be getting another one in a few weeks. So stick around if you want to meet my new gecko. But yeah, this is Lilith. She is in an 18x18x24 Exoterra. Just because I don't love the Zen habitats as much as the glass enclosures. They don't sit very nicely. They all are bioactive, by the way. If you want a video on that, that's something I could do to explain bioactive and how I've kind of set them up. And they all seem to work really well. But yeah, this is Lilith. She's a little bit of a chunky girl. She likes to eat, but we love her all the same. She's a really sweet gecko. This is Horchata. She is my 4th gecko that I got, my third crested gecko. She, as some of you might recognize, is a lily white. She's got that high white color on her feet and on her belly. I always wanted a lily white. It was kind of the dream morph next to the reds, so I got her. She currently resides in a 12x12x15, but she's getting a little big. So she is about to be moved into a 12x18x18x24 Exoterra. I really just love crested geckos. They have such a derpy expression and they're so calm. if you have like gargs, and I have a lychee that I'll get out soon, they have claws that they really use to dig, whereas the geckos use their feet. So this is horchata. She is about a year old, almost a year old, so she's very pretty. So this is Pickle. This is the 5th gecko that I got. She is a Leachianus gecko, or as some people might know, a New Caledonian giant gecko. She is still a baby, so she's got a lot of growing to do. She's probably about 6 inches right now, and she'll get up to probably double that and the size of like your forearm. They are very cage aggressive, so getting her out is a little scary, but once she's out, she's very docile. I probably would not get another Leachianus gecko. I know they're a dream species in the gecko community for a lot of people because they aren't readily breedable and make a lot of eggs, so they don't have a heavy supply. But they have really stinky poops, and they are really cage aggressive, as I said. So she'll hiss and bite when you try to get her out, and she doesn't really want to be involved, but she's a very pretty gecko. She's a new Anu, which is like a island variety. So she's kind of got some pink, as you can see as well. So this is Pickle. She lives up to her name because she's full of vinegar. So this is Bean. Bean is a chameleon gecko, Bauer's chameleon gecko. He is of the subspecies Urodactyloides occidentalis. He is the final gecko that I have most recently gotten. He's named for a chameleon gecko because, as you can see, they walk like a chameleon with that like little shift walk that they do. When I first saw them, when I was doing research on gecko species, I'd wanted the chameleon gecko, but they're not really commonly found at reptile expos. So I hadn't been able to find one, but then I found a breeder on Instagram that another breeder that I got my crested geckos from talked about, so I was able to get Bean. I really love this species. They're also from New Caledonia. He is currently in an 8x8x12 Exoterra, which is quite small, and he's also bioactive. I think that these geckos are a lot more aware than the cresteds. As you can see, he kind of looks around and bobs his head, sticks his tongue out. You can see like the different eye movements that he's doing. But yeah, he's a really cool species. Not commonly seen at expos and not really well known in the reptile hobby, but a really great species. All of my geckos are on Pangea. I prefer that brand over Repashy. It's just what I found that they all like a lot. I love the chameleon walk that he does. Look at that little foot. He is also the smallest gecko. So the plant I've been using is the same plant for all of them, so you can kind of see the different sizes that the geckos are. And as you can see, he doesn't even take up a single leaf. So he's a cute little guy, a little springy, but adorable. I love the face. I love the little walk. His feet are so cute. I love the scales. He's just a cool species to have. These guys do like a basking temperature, and so for all my geckos, even though a lot of people don't like geckos having, specifically crusteds having a heating requirement, I do have most of them on 25-watt ceramic heat emitters. I just find that that works well. When it gets colder at night, they can go up to it, and during the day, they can all get away from it. So their tank is temperature regulated. They have different cool and hot points. I personally think, and I think as you saw with Lilith, my red gecko, that it helps the gecko grow a lot if you do have a heat element, so that way they can choose to get warmer or get cooler, because they still are reptiles, they still are cold-blooded and can't regulate themselves. So that's just something that I recommend, and I found it really helped my geckos grow up quite fast and very healthy and strong and big. So this is my last gecko that I got, but definitely my favorite. Just the face is so cute. And this is Bean. Mr. Bean. So if you liked my video, Please subscribe, like, let me know your favorite gecko that you saw today, or if you have a favorite species that I don't own. I'm always looking at other species to get. Obviously, I have 4, so if you have any others, let me know. If you have any video ideas, let me know. I have a couple in mind for the future, such as how much geckos cost, the different care requirements for each, a more in-depth guide, a bioactive setup if that's something you're interested in, and then going to expos and taking you guys along with us. So thank you for watching. This is Quirky Scales. Love the quirkiness, and I'll see you guys in the next one.